Hello and welcome back. And last episode, we got to the last place we needed to be. So in this one, we're going to go there. It only took us to visit, half of the locations we needed to go to. Okay, according to the telemetry, we are in the system of Gamma, the main industrial world of the Von Flint's dynasty. However, our astropaths report the attempts to contact Governor Goprick have been unsuccessful. But wait, Lord Captain, a new report is sending requests to exchange data. Should we accept it? As you command, the Voxer switches to a nearby comm channel to relay your instructions to the crew. For several minutes, nothing happens. Lord Captain reporting the Vectorum is ignoring all our requests and continues to send us its own. The longer we do not accept their message, the shorter and more persistent the incoming signal becomes. I've never seen anything like it. Suddenly, a deafening screech erupts from the bridge's Vox system. You hear violent trillions of grumble, but hear a code like the low chuckles of machinery. The Lord Captain, interference detected, and the complement Vox system. Looks like the bridge is cut off from the rest of the void ship. The void ship's bridge sounds of warning concentrators and officers' footsteps. The everyday scene is interrupted by an ear-splitting sound, followed by lumens going out, and the dim glow of candles and emergency lights. One of the officers in frame cries out. Another falls to her knees, clutching her head. Over the beeping Vox's shouts can only just be heard. What's going on? The doors are locked. We lost contact with all compartments. One of the bridge officers turns to the throne. Lord Captain, the Vox stations are malfunctioning and overloading the system. None of our outgoing transmissions are getting through. The incoming ones that do make it are destroyed beyond interpretation. Gives the order. Continue sending orders from the bridge and request steps of departments. Proceed to Captain of Divisionary experts get to work. Data tethers are inserted into sockets as they connect to the cartridge. One of the Vox clerics lean over the console. Another is writing something on a piece of parchment. But then she bursts into maniacal laughter and stabs herself in the eye with the steel quill. Another screams. The tech priest, who was mid-prayer, tears himself to pieces with his own mechadetrites. More and more lunatics are mutilating themselves and lunging at others. Portions of pick recordings damage after contact with unknown object. An enforcer shoves a rabid servitor away from the Lord Captain as he The image on the pics is fuzzy, nothing but glimpses of people shouting at racket and the captain's orders. Within minutes, the crazed crew members are either dead or bound and unconscious. The officers clustered around the Lord Captain are barely breathing but unharmed. Okay, risk for his life. Bridge. Scrapco, the voice belongs to the on-deck engineer, who has turned to the Lord Captain from his station. We have been attacked with scrap code, a tech heresy designed to corrupt machines. The transmissions received from the planet was infected with this taint, and it is now running through the ship's veins. Omnisire, preserve us. The Voidborn officer appears for the Lord Captain once more. Whatever it is that attacks us, we have a backup procedure that can circumvent Voxbearer and the arterium leading to the bridge. There is a terminal for an isolated system that still be unaffected. Loud pop, the pipes over the officer's head bursts, and hot air fills the Voidborn flings forward from the captain, his body slamming straight through the cogitator panel. The pick frame spins uncontrollable, the surface skull joints by the guts, and the picture fogs over. The fox picks up the crackling and death cry. Gas on the bridge. A junior attendant shouts and was over, inhaling the poisonous gas. Richard personally oversees the evacuation, brings the plasma cutters, get the wounded to the exit. The officers repeat his orders. When the surface skulls following the rogue trader reaches the doors, they fall to the plasma cutters and crumble outward. The rogue trader is the last to leave the bridge. Leaning on a support beam, the rogue trader takes several deep breaths, trying to fill his lungs with air. Then he straightens, smooths his uniform, and heads towards a jail known only to him. The servo skull follows. Yeah. The auditorium is a state of panic. Silhouettes skitter about in the dark hall, illuminated only by the flickering of emergency lumens. Curt orders and someone's feverish words of prayer can be heard, having lost all communication. The beheaded ship is writhed in agony. It takes a while for the Lord Captain to find the cogitator mentioned by the fallen officer. The panel of the isolated terminal is riddled with cracks and blood stains, and on the floor by the terminal, Tech Priest is lying in a heap with his own head smashed, and technical liquids mixed with blood oozing out of his ports. Decides to take his chance, restoring the terminal. The rogue trader rips the power key off the Tech Priest's Menadendrites and opens the cover on the terminal. Sparks fly into his face, but he is confident in his manipulation of the tangled wires and clinging levers. After replacing the cover and ensuring that the system is restored, the Lord Captain brings up the required data on the screens. The maintenance bay is sending out hundreds of desperate distress calls that have gone unanswered up to now. When the machine spirit went out of control and started turning people insane, others, driven by some hateful and paranoid logic, started butchering the servants of the Epideptus Mechanicus. The Tech Priests have sustained heavy losses, but the remains of the cult are still holding the line. Out of everything that's happened on the ship, the situation in the maintenance bay is the direst. Knows where to help the most, he decides to. Send officers to the compartment where the situation is critical. Arrives not a moment too soon. The crew, frightened out of their wits, have already cornered the Tech Priests of the Omnissiah and are about to execute them. The Lord Captain stands between the angry mob and the Tech Priests, his sheer presence already giving the crowd pause, harshly cutting off any objections from the crew. The rogue trader orders the officers he gathered on the way here to escort the mutineers out and set up a guard post outside the bay, where the Tech Priests begin to offer desperate prayers to the crippled machine spirit. The walk to the bridge is uneventful. The crisis has passed. Although wounded and crippled, the ship nevertheless is returned to its normal operation. Life on the bridge is as bustling as ever, even though the people are surrounded by destruction. The senior officers have the situation under control, and the people have been organized. The emergency crew have already finished repairing the pipes. The technomets are setting up cogitators and consoles, and the healers are bagging up what few corpses there are and examining the wounded. By the comm station, the rogue trader runs into the Vox Master, prays the Emperor, "You're in one piece, Lord Captain. The situation on board is satisfactory. I was just in the middle of setting up comm channels. Soon all the Vox casters will be fully operational." Another man appears in the pick frame, a junior officer, completely out of breath, carrying a heap of scrolls. The Vox Master nods at him. "And here are the reports, Lord Captain. If you find yourself able to return to your station, I can neatly give you a rundown of the state of affairs on the ship." The Lord Captain The situation has been brought under control. More or less, it will take some time to eliminate the consequences of the attack completely, but the vessel is capable of motion. We may even be able to conduct a warp jump if you feel we should leave the system. Allow me to bring you up to date. Fortunately, the bridge suffered only minor losses. The reports mentioned only a few casualties that have already been replaced. Kiva Gamma went silent after transmitting the harmful signal. It was I will refrain from sending inquisitors to the industrial world to avoid a second attack. I am afraid we have exhausted our options for remote analysis. More information can only be obtained by closing the distance and even sending an away party to the planet's surface. The Vox clicks as it joins the channel. The time has come to remind you about our agreement, Ivan. I must be present in your entourage during your expedition. I am counting on your cooperations. The crew is awaiting further instruction. Oh! Okay, I just wanted to make sure that my mic was working. Because that just came to me that I haven't checked the entire time I've been recording. Okay, nothing here. The dwarf planet is marked on the von Vlins charts as Ateli and serves as a backup source of water for the habitable worlds of neighboring systems due to the abundance of bacteria proliferating in the hydrosphere. The extraction of ice was stopped half a century ago, but much of your officer's surprise, the augurs detected an unfamiliar mining rig deep below. Presumably, the excavation is extracting clay minerals in your planet's core enriched with iron and other metals. That turns out to be Cordia's latest investment, whose dominance is located just within a few jumps from the tourist system. While this world is of a little value to the Volcity, your officers see this gesture as an attempt to test the boundaries of the newly mined asteroid. Rogue Trader's leniency. Your people easily assume control as the frightened workers and the token security crew do not even attempt to resist. The extractor's machines are restored shortly after, and the mass containers filled with precious ores are delivered to the flagship's cargo hold. You work for me now! Oh, we could just... 3? I'll spend this more wisely. Let's fight the Dark Mechanicum.
This inky abyss will witness our victory.
I should have healed! Infidel. Iconoclast. 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 Infidel and Iconoclast. Oh dear.
Lance! Unleash our fury! Commence torpedo launch!
Fire torpedoes will appear next turn in the priority order. Oh, okay, so basically we can move them and onto just pass through the space occupied, and then we could use it to damage it. Okay, no one is within range. That does not mean we should move you out of the way.
Lads! Engage the macro cannons! Initiate macro cannon barrage!
How many cells is this? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cells. So if we were to go here, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in
Sail
theory,
upon
we
the
should be
seas of
able to
void.
hit them from here. In theory.
Engage the lads! Drown them in the void! Unleash our fury! Engage the macro cannons! Set course! Engage the lads!
we go.
Sail upon the seas of void. Engage, the lads! Unleash our fury!
Okay, so the torpedoes do some work.
Commence torpedo launch!
Yep. The entire purpose of this is just to see if we can torpedo torpedoes.
The destination is known.
Indeed, you can torpedo
Another
torpedoes.
victory of two great dynasties, Lord Captain.
We're going to need to pair. Provides weapons with an 80 and 15. I don't want that. Okay, which one do we want? Okay, it's really gonna be new heading or reload. Let's get reload because currently all she has is torpedoes. Improvised ram. Void ram deals twice the additional damage for each extra tile traveled. Restart shields now inflict only 2 speed reduction and no firing range penalty. Repairing the shield requires 50 yep, that one. Manufactorium. So after this, we're going to the Agri World. Frowns and his eyes sweep over the Manufactorium dark halls. No solemn ceremony, no personal meeting with Magi. I fear we are too late, and we won't be dealing with Gladstein's heretics after all. We'll be a rise of alarms out of Vox synthesizer and their erotic broken rhythm. You sense a call to arms and a warning of danger. To start, let's look around and find out why the arrival of the Rogue Trader did not look the usual fuss. To speak plainly, I would not count on a warm welcome. At this rate, better keep your weapons at the ready. I assume I would. All right, we came here to conduct these guys.
The machine god grants the insight.
They will see. Oh, yes. They all will see.
For use an ancient but wholly typical console. For use people not trained. Yeah, we've already done this. Discover the local data crypt was contents collected by either previous operators or the machine spirit itself. Using your access, you study the archives stored on this cogitator. The vast data resources contain millions of strings related to receiving raw materials for processing, shifting process, schedule for sacred rituals to be performed over the machines coming off the production line to the manufactorium. Once operated like one good will mechanisms, the last record is from 2 months ago. For you appears as if they are performing some elaborate and confusing dance. Striking strange poses, they rock back and forth with their arms bent at particular angles. When you approach, one of the servitors jerks and tries to turn in your direction and rest immediately. Push. This range sense is owned by a grating dull clicking just at the edge of your hearing comes from an unknown source. Step away from the servitor and they remain in place. Praise be to the Omnissiah, whose might and power transforms dead metal to make manifest the holy visions of the machine god. The new protocols received at the from the great fabricator Censor has been executed, despite those who shudder at the thought of changing a standard procedure. Emboldened your hearts, those who inner weakness breeds errors and personal calculations. For the fabricator Censor is the conduit of the higher will and the wisest among us. Today, a supreme symbol, the Censor unsealed the vaults of the sacred designs and committed these deemed or heretical to purified disposal. Today, dozens of standard procedures were lost to be replaced by new ones, which the Censor will deliver to those who demonstrate the greatest devotion to seeking the truth. But the data breaks contain no notion of truth. Could there have been made the all-knowing one, the glorious keeper, forgive me as an error for such calculations, and he meant to say, serving the quest for knowledge. It is not enough to get past the loyal Guardian's machine spirit. No matter how hard you try to course the system, it remains imperfect. We're just going to leave the corrupted servitors in here to do their dance. Cause I have a feeling that clicking noise
beyond
might lead to an explosion. Athletics up there. Ooh. A tome containing revelations of the Omnissiah recorded in spiritual pure dialogue. Only a member of the cultist mechanics with the key to this cipher may partake the knowledge of the machine god.
Patience? My nerves
Okay, so
are
we can't use
frayed.
the elevator. The lumps protruding under the text priest's bragnal red robe hint at the mechanisms implanted in his body. You see he has haggard and sickly face under the archaeotech respirator augments. I click a clank and a barely audible hiss, and only then the text priest box finishes the word identification. Request denied. Turns to you, his visor gleaming crimson, restraining anomalous behavior with his servant's organics, and an invalid noosphere response. This unit is compromised. You carefully study the robe-clad figure. A black border of necrosis spread out from around the text priest's implants. For some reason, his body is rejecting its true flesh. A moment later, you recognize the dominant smell is a bouquet of scents permitting air around the tech priest, a stench of rotten meat. Draws his weapon as his robes open. You senses are hit by a fetid wave of rods.
Oh, another annoyance.
Show them no mercy.
Flesh is weak, yet iron knows no pain.
Nothing.
My heart still beats.
Suffering is part of the trial.
God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart.
House Orcelio thanks you.
Faith without deeds. You, my Emperor. I'll do it. Doubt is for the weak. This is why I was chosen.
Yeah, I think Pascal's gonna die before we can do anything with him. Or the server's just going to ignore him
I'm
entirely.
enraged.
Don't leave us. That's an order.
Okay, so those ones will just self-destruct on their own.
Brace yourself, Abelard. Victory is imminent. At your beck and call.
Let's see to it. I won't object.
So he just has a broken leg, right? Yeah, so his agility and movement points are halved.
Naturally.
Genius at work. Schemes within schemes. You are marked for demise. A wicked thought.
Oh, we're about to lose somebody else, probably.
Deliver us!
Guided by faith! As the Emperor commands! I'll do it. As the Emperor commands, none can escape the Emperor's judgment.
Machine rumbles on all Vox frequencies.
I will avenge you. I'll do it. Emperor, protect the fallen.
I will do my duty. At your beck and call. It will be done.
Which is better, 1 or 3? 3 seems
For
to be
the
better.
throne of glory. I won't object to it.
Okay, and she will have broken ribs. But then again, her only reason is just to give other people confidence.
Let's see.
The warp is already starting to permeate.
Ah, a new note in discordant melody. Schemes within. Another one is shattered.
Another loss to the refuge. At your beck and call. It will be done.
I'll see our foes obliterated. But of course, I'm done with this one. The Emperor is on our side. Let's see to it.
A genius at work. Oh, the storm approaches. Let's see.
Wait, what just happened? Ivan lost his turn.
I will do my duty. Victory is imminent.
Oh right, that immediately ends your turn when you use it. I forgot.
I'll put my psychic abilities to use.
What if... Behold the wrath of madness! Schemes within schemes.
It will be done. An exemplary strike. Indeed. At your beck and call.
I need a foothold. For the throne's glory.
A genius at work. You are marked for demise. Disease of mortality laid bare.
Momentum.
He only did 4 damage.
I will do my duty. Victory is imminent. For von Francis! Indeed. My place is at the fore.
Everyone, step aside. Let's see to it.
Let's see. A new note in discordant melody.
No matter where you go, you cannot run. You cannot hide.
At your beck and call.
You can only stand and fight.
Get me a target. I won't object to it.
Behold the wrath of madness.
Try to flee now. Who are you hitting with the grenade?
It will be done. At your beck and call. I took care of this one.
We've been here 5 minutes and
In
already
this
half the team
tapestry
is
of the
crippled.
world, I am the rogue thread.
You need warp. Here we go. Eldari proficiency. Wait, why can't we equip these? It's Eldari equipment. Oh, it only works on Eldari. Is that what it means? That's what we just got. I guess that's the case. It only works with Eldari. I guess that tells me we're going to get an Eldari in our party, because apparently we can't use their equipment. Then again, you see an Eldari on the loading screen. So for now, they're useless. I just realized the haywire grenades are going to be useful here. You're getting the Eldari treatment too. If I could find it. That was Drukari! Fuck.
What advice do you seek?
Can we change it to Drukari? We're gonna have to wait for another level up. What was this? Text targets that have their dodge reduction by any effect applied by... Okay. This is what I wanted to see if I could find. More mechadendrites. An additional servo skull connected directly to the systems. Increase the perception by 10. Rouse 99! Okay, so it has to be those special ones, which are... No, it's not these. These ones. She'll get, manipulation or Medicaid next time. Pandora, get your butt out of the way. before we getting you, let's get you awareness because you clearly need something like that. Reject the flesh rank 1. We got ourselves some crack grenades.
Light of terror, guide our way.
We don't need that. So we will have to wait for the next level up to get him. Okay, great. How do we get there? Okay, so it must be over there then. So we have two ways. We can explore up here, or we can go down and go back across the bridge. I'm going to explore up here.
A tantalizing anomaly.
Duty prevails.
Oh, that's on the other side.
Curiosity sings in my veins.
My auspex has detected
They
something.
will see. Oh, yes, indeed. They all will see. This galaxy is my playground.
You have my thanks.
Sometimes you consult the appropriate treatise on Tactica Imperialis.
I'm grateful.
The stars are
My frail organics require this.
your survival is
I am at your
preferable.
service.
Integrity factor increased.
You may not survive the next one, but we have so many of these.
What lies beyond?
Okay, so that's a way back down there. A small, heavily augmented man in a filthy, tattered robe stands before you. As you approach, he hesitates, looks up at your eyes. His eyes, both portable and Ivor with a keyboard hanging from straps in his front, and you see his detached sleeve robe peeking out from under his hood. Cowers before or behind his hand and whimpering pitifully. No, no, I'm not a cultist. They tried to corrupt my mind to their heresy, but I ran. I am Manufactorum Lex Maniac Zeta 86. I performed the ritual of the machine spirit on Foundry 95. Up until we started going mad, priests devoted to the Omnissiah suddenly started praising the dawn of something or other. They stopped the belts, then they discarded the vestiges of the sacred machine with unholy symbols. Some of them resisted, the others grabbed them, tied them up, and then they turned their implants to heresy. I saw the madmen, my former tech comrades, deliberately connect those four souls to corrupted cogitators. I watched as they infected with this scrap code. And did nothing to stop them. I am recording a violation of the commandment of thine own forge. Be a true sentinel. At State Zeta 86, your access are hereby revoked. Proceed with your report. The icy rumbling coming from Foxcaster, the Lexington, to lower his head in fear and consideration. I didn't avoid it. They performed the same procedure on me. I felt the touch of unholy code. I allowed it to control me. I abandoned my sacred post and followed one of the traitors serving his will and gathered all the data for his blasphemous experiments. I was driven by an unholy impure coming from the depths of my auxiliary cogitator where the code had logged itself. Before I found a way to throw off the compulsion, I witnessed horrifying heresy, the extraction of true flesh and its deposition on altars. Preserved procedures that result in heretical abominations. I even accompanied a falling magus to the fabricator's censor himself and attended the unholy mass he led personally. It was a wicked ritual full of willful devotion and inaccuracies, all to create an ungodly monster in the name of the final dawn. Gestures at the wires and connectors going out from under his hood. Crazy gifts of the Omnisire. I managed to disconnect my external cogitator while I used my primary data processing. The machine is corrupted. The scrap code is locked inside it like a beast in a cage, but anyone who tries to look inside will fall victim to the dreadful program. My primitive brain has been marked by corruption. I still see their silhouettes, hear their interference. I sense a malfunction in my augments, but I will still save from the great sacrifice. Oh, blessed are the workings of the Omnisire and his benedict, the shelter from evil. Tenses ever so slightly at his words. You see his hand casually strayed to the handle of his weapon, but the instigator is no hurry to act. No, not the constructs. They are melted down in furnaces and sent into the depths of the Factorium. It is some kind of semblance of a cogitator, a nightmarish parody of a sacred machine powered by the Omnisire's grace, not by the Omnisire's grace, but by the unholy spirit and life force of the unfortunate imprisoned on the lower levels. I don't know much except that the fabricator's sensors saw that the machines are special. It was special to him, to the crazies who defy to the Omnisire's abode and their obscene blasphemy for the final rite. He even called upon the Astartes heretics who arrived at the Infectorum after the start of the uprising. He did something terrible, and only after that were they able to switch the machine on. It is a true abomination. Even standing near it is unbearable. I believe they even have those who have been deprived of the Omnisire's grace still feel its influence on them. Its monstrous power utilized for unholy missions and chaotic calculations. Whatever the cogitator might spew out of the end of its cycle, no righteous soul should accept its offering. Like the grace of the Omnisire had left them entirely, replacing free thought and progress with blanket corruption. I witnessed them desecrating structures blessed by the fabricator's censor himself. Though, what do the blessings of the rotten traitor count for? Like men possessed, they set upon the sacred instruments and assembled shells and nodes that didn't match any diagram or blueprint I've ever seen. Sacrilege. The lay servants of the main units, they live in isolation segments under the segment machine hall. I heard that they were locked in there after the takeover. Then my crazed brethren changed the system for Pandora out of the way, disposing of slag waste, and covered the machines in cursed symbols. After they started the cogitator, they dragged the survivors out of the segments under the machine hulls. Well, what survived had turned into. To demonstrate some power of observation and recall for someone who just happened to survive. Gather data into the proofs of my existence. That's even what they used me for. Trails left studying the subtext. They used me against my will. The scrap code turns everyone into their slaves. Before I rid myself of the cogitator, I was forced to serve along those who purged those who and witnessed their sins. So it said, Servant of the Omnissiah, I must know more about the final dawn, the 30th century, his mass, and about this machine as well. I could give you the coordinates, but even though I was present for many blasphemies committed by those heretics, all the details were captured and preserved by my true flesh, are in the augments that was corrupted by the scrap code. I am convinced that if I hadn't spot that foreign compulsion in time, I would have been doomed. The corruption would have spread to my biological cogitator as well. That taps a finger on the device hanging from his ear, on several wires. I swear there's no doubt the folks, tech priest should come into contact with what's hidden in the once sacred device. Expression shifts as he stares intensely at the disconnected implants and the still intact connectors protruding from under the collar. The corner of his mouth twitches involuntarily. I notice this look on his face, and once he does, he sighs heavily. Does not speak, but several seconds grits his teeth, then in a meditative tone, as though he is musing aloud, he addresses it. There may be a way to retrieve the cogitator's contents via another device. Even if the very idea of exposing a holy machine to the scrap code was profane in itself, my augments are not universally compatible. They cannot be connected to another machine spirit. They were created to interact within the system of my true flesh, to innerve my compulsor unit and output data via the inscriber. Once I am safe, I swear I will immediately perform a cleansing rite and destroy. In other words, there is only one way to track the data stored in the cogitator. Prince Dry looks like it could have been privy to conversation that requires investigating the cult. We need the contents of that cogitator. I've been listening to your discussion in his puzzlement, finally understanding who is going to happen to him. He begins to back away in fear. No, anything but that. I'll die. No, it'll be worse than that. I'll succumb to corruption. I'm begging you, please. I'd rather be burned as a heretic than have the scrap code in my biological cogitator. At those words, pauses for a fraction of a second, almost as if he is reconsidering. I'm failing to offer any resistance against the enemies of the Omnissiah. Our unit has lost the grace of the machine rate and was registered as a resource of the manufactorium. Defilement and torments of said resource is committed to advance the struggle against heresy. Will not be deemed an apostasy or malfaction against a living soul. Upon expression of the unit's utility, dispersal is recommended. We need to know about the cogitator is, even if the heretics' conversations were important, I must know why the machine was so valuable to them. I tell you, which is a ragged cloth under his scrap of parchment. A different augment is responsible for my muscle memory. It has a data storage too. I remember where I walked and what I pressed with my fingers. Here are the coordinates with the code. It's possible the code, probably the code to the bay. He scratches out the number with his fingernails and passes the parchment to. Eyes bore into a smaller man, at least having reached some conclusion. He turns to you. He is the subject of your word. It is for you to decide his fate. You deliver the killing blow before Hex can stop you. He stares at the body and shocked, then turns his enraged gaze at you. By the throne, what was that for? Why would you deprive me of priceless data and this poor man of his life? A senseless waste of resources he took away. I deliver my formal assessment of your actions later. Now we need to find the cogitator, what was so important. General says so. Simple, dumbass. He's corrupted.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
Here's the thing. He was corrupted by chaos. He even said
My
that
nerves are frayed.
the chaos he can see via his, so with his eyes. So killing him was the most merciful act we could do. I will not have him on the ship because
In
he's
this
obviously corrupted.
tapestry of a world,
Nothing's impossible for this
I am
old
the
officer.
rogue thread.
Secondly, he is... If he's already got corruption in him. If we did not kill him, the corruption most likely would have spread.
See? Right there.
Tenants of the Omnisire is hidden from...
There will be no peace in my
Okay! I guess we're not going across the... Oh. The massive Magos clad in ritual garb let out a binary thrill and turns to you. From beneath the deep hood of his mantle, two dimly lit eyes implants gaze out you. You hear another biotic trade, and it's this time clearly addresses at you. A primitive creature devoid of true knowledge. Could it be one of the slaves who escaped imprisonment? Neil, servant before the master, Kiva Gamma. You are the one of the troglodytes who once had the gall to oppress my comrades and resist my will, a messenger from the barbarian who drank the sacred ungulates bestowed upon her thought others toil. Very well, then you appearance is the perfect opportunity to teach your ilk a lesson. My name is Cubis de Flim. I once held the title of Fabricator Censor of the Plus Gamma Manufactorium, but I reject it along with the other fetters that hindered progress. Once my faith was flawed and led naive fools from the cult Mechanicus into the darkness of ignorance. Now I am this world's master and serve the true gods. You tread upon their territory and you do not number among their legion servants. Therefore, you must be subject to immediate disposal. As the senior functioning member of the Priesthood of Mars, I, Magos, Exploratory Practice, Pascal Hanumoen, declare this temple to the machine gun compromise and forthwith forbid all service within it. I dethrone the Fabricator Censor, the ignorant heretic who has betrayed the Omnisire, and condemn as anathema any and all standard procedures impeded by him. Let the cycle of the blasphemous operations he has put in motion be disconnected or discontinued. Switches to Bahiric, and you hear Dishonored visioning into the depths of the forged cathedral. Some of the giant mechanisms heed his word and go still while the others obey the Fabricator Censor's will. Continue their work. Crashes, explosions, and the clanging of crumpling metal signify the Some distant among the machines has interrupted the manufactorium's production cycle. Something just exploded. Herman, liar, you are not him. Demit says Herman obeys me. His mind is open to the voice of the void, and the scrap code he created protects my world, and I'll not have you, rusted refuse from the misfit cats. Explorers call me ignorant. The statement is false. Your regalia has been revoked, and you have been deemed defective and will be eliminated. Initiating heretic search. Designation Desmond Haman. I wish to execute the retribution picture. I usually prefer negotiation to fighting. Fighting destroys property and wastes resources, but in your case, I'm afraid the extreme measures must be taken. It's my world. It will only serve to me. I've seen what you have done to this world and its poor people. You may be driven by your will to fight, but know this. Gamma has already been converted, its lines have been reconstructed, and its servants have already tasted the fruits of progress. And the crucibles of this manufactorium, torrid liquid metal, will be used to forge vessels for sacred spirits. The adepts are already tirelessly delving deeper into new mysteries. They were once barred by false tenets. You, servants of fake gods, are too late. The entire might of this world will soon rise up against the anathema and his slaves. So many open admissions of heresy in so few sentences. Sister, how... I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. My mom, pushed her, she has a little necklace with some buttons on it that, activates a thing in my room. It's, just in case she falls. Okay. Sister, how many death sentences would you say his words warrant? Can't answer that, Master Von Calexis. It is not my duty to measure the guilt of heretics when the depths of sword disappear. For enemies of the Imperium, it is time to fire, not count. And now it is one of those times. Imperfect machines merit elimination, as do living elements prone to vulnerability such as sentimentality. Comrades, purge the manufactorium of any random variables. I must prepare for the sublimation of our great work. Great! For a second there, I thought I heard some of the music from the Omnisire game, the Tech Priest game. Adeptus Mechanicus one. Oh! With that, I'm going to call it here, because things are going on now since it's morning now. And since it's morning, I'm inevitably going to get called by people who are going to interrupt me with scam calls, or calls for other people that don't live here. But I'll see you all in the next, when I'm going to be very confused at what I'm doing.